All right, the previous lesson had rotating around about the origin, which was just an 8th grade TEK that we've already learned. Now we're going to talk about rotating not about the origin. So some point that's going to be at, say, A and B, two different numbers. It's not at 0, 0. We have 3 steps. And what I like about the design of these notes is it's going to have everything spelled out for you here. Now when you do your own assignments, you're going to have to look back here and maybe make your own table. Step 1, okay, we're going to subtract whatever the coordinates are of that point. So we'll get plenty of examples, okay? The next step is we're going to use this rotation rule that we already learned about from what we got from step 1 after subtracting. We're going to use those new coordinates and use the rotation rule. Step 3, we then have to take whatever we subtracted in step 1, we have to add it back. What we're doing with the subtraction, the adding, is we're moving to the point of origin, rotating, and then moving back. Okay, so follow these three steps, and you should be able to get this perfectly fine. Now, let's start off with this first problem. Rotate 90 degrees about the origin. Hey, it doesn't say counterclockwise or clockwise. Remember, we talked about if it does not mention, because the way the quadrants go, we're going to go counterclockwise. All right? So we're going to go about the point -1, -1. So -1, -1, sorry, -1, +1, let's go find that point. -1, +1, this is the point we are rotating about. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take, let's go ahead and put in our points here. All right, I'm going to write them in pretty quickly. Okay, I'm going to do 3 different colors to kind of make it easy. Your pre-image A is going to be at +3, +2. Or B is going to be at +4, +6. And C is going to be at +6, +4. We're going to go ahead and we're going to, because we're doing -1, +1, we need to subtract. Let's take a look at what this looks like, okay? Let's take a look at what we're actually going to be doing. If we have -1, okay, just take an example here. We have a -1. We're going to have to, take a -1. If we subtract 1 and subtract that -1, I need you to see how this ends up being it's a minus and negative. Okay, this is showing you how we're moving to the origin. Okay, I told you earlier, this is moving to the origin, then we rotate, then we move back. So we're going to take the next coordinate. We've got +1. If we subtract that 1 that's there, okay, look at this. We have a -1 minus negative, that becomes a plus. -1 plus 1 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. It gets us to the origin. That is why we are subtracting. You have to be careful with these minus negatives. So anytime you have a coordinate on the center of origin that is a negative, you've got to realize that's why this says x plus 1. You have to remember your minus negative. So that's where this comes about. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the x coordinate and we're going to apply this +1. So we're going to take our x coordinate of 3 and we're going to add 1. Sorry, it's kind of sloppy here. And we're going to wind up with 4. Then we're going to take the 2, all right, and we're going to subtract 1. And we're going to get 1. Do not plot this point. Okay, we are not done. All right. These, in your final step, these are going to be the ones that you're going to plot. Okay, you have to follow all 3 steps. So here when we take a look at, we'll just go all the way through. We're going to go ahead and apply our rule now. So we're going to take this 4, 1, and we're going to switch places. The 1 that's in the y spot is going to become the opposite of a negative. So we have -1, and the 4, the x just moves over, switches it. Now we need to move it back. What we need to remember with moving it back is we now have to do the opposite. Okay? So here, whatever we did on the step 1, the +1 and -1, x plus 1, y minus 1, we need to do the opposite. So now we're going to do x minus 1, y plus 1. So we take these coordinates again. We have a -1 and an x. We're going to take -1. We're going to subtract 1. Okay? Now remember, This is not 0, guys. This is -1, and you're subtracting 1 more, moving 1 more further in the negative direction. This actually ends up being a -2. Okay, please be careful with your negatives. We're going to take the y, which is a 4, and we're going to add 1. So we're just moving back to the center of rotation. So we're going to end up at -2, +5. So over here, I'm actually not going to plot it yet because I'm going to show you with the patty paper as well. All right, let's take a look at B. Here, we're going to go ahead, and I'm not going to show the work right here, but we're going to take x and we're going to add 1 to the x. 4 becomes 5. We're going to take the y and we're going to subtract 1. The 6 becomes 5. Again, don't plot yet. We're going to switch them. Well, that's easy. It's still 5, 5. But we need to see which one becomes negative. So it's going to end up being that y. So we have -5, 5. Now we're going to go back. Let's take that -5, subtract 1. -5 minus 1 more. Going to end up being -6. Then we take our y, 5, and we're going to add 1, +6. Lastly, encourage you to pause and try it on your own. We've already done 2 of them. Please try it on your own, okay? If you make a mistake, oh well, you learn from your mistakes. Here we're going to take the x-coordinate, we're going to add 1, so 6 is going to become 7. 4, we're going to subtract 1 from the y to become 3. We're going to switch them, making sure that the y turns negative, so the 3 will become negative. And now we're going to go back and the opposite, move back to the center of rotation. -3 minus 1 is a -4. And +7 plus 1 becomes a +8. I'm going to very quickly show you with the patty paper. So the patty papers, I showed the patty paper with the center of rotation at the origin. I did not put anything at the origin this time because the point of the little plus sign is to put that at the center of rotation. So what I want to do instead, I have put my points here. I have labeled them so when I rotate, I know which letter goes with what. I'm going to find that center of rotation right there. And not just the point. Please trace along the x and y to make a plus sign so that you can line them up correctly. Because I don't want you going like this and being like, okay, I'm done. Because look, the plus sign isn't lined up. So we went, this was going to be our 90 degrees counterclockwise, opposite of the clock. We're going to move it until that plus sign has rotated once. And then we're going to see here where A is at -2, +5. Look at that, -2, +5. B prime is at -6, +6, and C prime is at -4, +8. So that is how we can do that with the patty paper as well. Please go ahead and plot the prime, label them as A, B, and C prime, and connect those dots. Again, our pre-image and image should be the same shape and same size. All right, next we're going to do it again. We're going to first of all, it doesn't have this stuff filled out for us in this first row, so we're going to come up with that on our own. Again, I know some of you guys are going to want to try it on your own. Please try it on your own. Here let's go ahead and fill in our X, Y, and Z. I'm just going to use one color for all the sakes of time. Your X, Y, and Z. A, B, and C, your coordinates here. If we take a look, X is at 2, A is at 2, -2. This is why we don't rush. We make mistakes. Your B is at -2, +5, and C is going to be at -4, 2. All right, so we're going to be going 270 counterclockwise, so we need to remember we're going to have to find that rule. We have -2, -4 as our center of rotation. So -2, -4. We need to do the opposite because we need to subtract -2, subtract -4. Remember that subtracting a negative is an addition. So we're going to take our x coordinates and we're going to add 2. We're going to take our y coordinates and we're going to add 4. Then we're going to apply our rotation rules, 270 degrees counterclockwise. Let's see if I can find those page that has those rules on it. Your counterclockwise in our previous 270 counterclockwise was switch them and change the x's coordinate. So here we have y -x. Then we're going to go back and we're going to do the opposite of what we did on step 2. We are going to take x -2 and y minus 4. Please remember the reason we added, even though the step up top said subtract, is because it is already a negative when you do that opposite. All right, so let's go ahead and start this out. We're going to first, we're going to take our x and we're going to add 2. So 2 plus 2 gives us 4. Y, negative 4, we're going to add, sorry, negative 2, we're going to add 4. So that's going to be the positive number. 4 is bigger, it's positive. So we're going to add 2. We're going to add 2 negatives to get to 0 and 2 more. Think about a number line or just know your addition. This is going to end up being a positive 2. X on B prime, negative 2 plus 2 gets us at 0. Positive 5 plus 4, so just 5 plus 4 gives us 9. Negative 4 plus 2 gets us at the negative 2. 2 plus 4 gets us at 6. Let's go ahead and apply the rule. Remember, all these x's are changing signs. So it's going to be a negative 4, obviously 0, and the negative 2 is going to go to a positive 2. And then they're going to switch places with that y coordinate. So the y2 is going to go first, and the x4 going to become a negative 4. Down here, the 9 is going to go first, and then there's no negative 0. And the last one here, we've got the y is going to go first, 6. The x is going to go last, and it's also going to change to a positive. Let's go ahead and subtract these numbers now. All right, the new x that we have, 2 minus 2, 0. Negative 4 minus 4 more is a negative 8. Next on B prime, x minus 2, so 9 minus 2 gives you 7. And 0 minus 4, that is a negative 4. We're not multiplying, we're subtracting. Your 6 minus 2, easy enough, 4. Your 2 minus 4, going into the negatives, negative 2. So we're going to go ahead and plot these points. Go ahead and plot them on your own, connect them and label them. And then it's going to pop up here in a minute. So go ahead and plot them yourself, label them, and connect them. All right, again with the patty paper, if we rotate it, here's our point, center of rotation. We're going to go 270 counterclockwise. Opposite the clock, 270 is 390 degrees. So we're going to go 3 times, watching it. 1, 2, and then 3. We line that up, and look at that. Our image and our pre-image and our image line up perfectly. All right, algebra review. What is the equation of the line that includes BC? So we need to go back up to our the previous problem. That's why it's still here. We're going to look at our linear equation, y equals mx plus b. So we need to look at right here, this line here. We need to remember y equals mx plus b. So let's find, well, b is going to be our y-intercept. Well, where does it cross the y-axis? Right here at the positive 8. So b is going to equal 8. We have to find our slope, which is going to, you can either do rise over run, or you can do your change in y over change in x. I'm going to do the change in y over, the slope, change in y over change in x. So we're going to have our slope. We're going to take y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, let's look at our coordinates. Where do I want to write it? I'll write it over here. So B is at negative 2, 5. C is at negative 4, 2. So whenever we get into the next unit, we start doing distance formula and midpoint formula. You see these y2s and y1s. I'm going to be asking my students to make sure that you label this x1, y1, x2, y2. So you know exactly where in the formula. Oh, we don't really need that anymore. Move it up. So here in your formula, you're going to take y2, which is 2, minus y1, 5, over x2, what we label as x2, negative 4, minus x1, negative 2. Remember that this becomes a positive. So we have 2 minus 5 is going to give us a negative 3. And we have a negative 4 plus 2, which gives us a negative 2. Remembering that we have negatives and a negative. Negative and negative becomes a positive. So our slope is going to end up being 3 over 2. So all in the long run, here's B, here's M. So our final answer, y equals M, 3 over 2, x plus B. B is a positive number, here is our algebra review.